Today we are going to make brigadeiros, which are a typical Brazilian dessert.
How are you? Good, yeah. Normally in Brazil, every birthday party has that. You can't go to a birthday party. If you don't have that in the birthday party, it's not a party, right? And lately, the original version was transformed a little bit, so now you have stores that sell those little bowls in all kind of flavors and different types. What I suggest we do is the typical one, and then one more version with pistachios, just cost.
And when did it start to change? When was the newer version made?
I don't know exactly, but in the last, I think maybe 5 years, you can see a lot of new stuff going on in Brazil. But I don't know the reason, or people just start understanding that there was a more interesting way of doing it, especially for adults. They like different stuff. So now, for example, you can go to a very fancy wedding, and instead of this normal stuff, they have these brigadeiros with all kinds of different flavors. Little book.
From Brazil or not?
From everywhere, a little bit from everywhere. It's not only. It's the stuff that I do a lot.
Do you buy the ingredients at Albert Heijn or somewhere different?
Any supermarket.
Get this recipe from?
Family. I don't know. Since I was a kid, it's like my daughters already know how to prepare it. So every child, I think, in Brazil knows the thing and knows it's very easy to prepare. So we just learn how to do it quickly.
It's a family thing?
No, it's a culture. It's like everybody. It's like hot dogs or hamburgers in the States.
Yeah.
It's not of course, you can have different families with different, ways to prepare it. But in any case, it's more or less the same for everybody. And I don't know when it started. Yeah, I just know that I was born and I grew up eating this, and my kids as well, and I think also my father. It was probably an old thing. I know that you have different versions for chocolate little bowls, also from Israel, but they use cookies. And in Brazil, you don't use any cookie. This is a very sweet thing. And I know that in Europe, for example, they don't like such sweet stuff. So they probably do a different version with less chocolate maybe, or mixing other stuff to make a little bit less sweet. And in Brazil, every sweet is really, really, really sweet. You take a Brazilian cake, it's going to be much sweeter than a European version of the same cake.
I think this dish kind of means home to you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think also my daughters, if you ask them my daughter's coming home, what do you like, is obviously she's going to ask this. And every birthday party, every celebration. Now it became a tradition also always that when you have something at school and they need to bring something, everybody asks them to bring that. It's like the other kids from all over the world, they study with my daughters, they already know this and they ask. So whereas there's a baking sale or any other celebration at school, somebody asks us to bring this as well. But it's very homey.
Would you say it's like a dish that you eat it and you share with people? It's like you eat it with a bunch of people, with friends, family.
I think it's more like a party time. In my home we do it very often, even if we don't have a reason. But normally in Brazil it's like a party, especially children's party thing. No, I don't think people would do it just for the family.
Okay.
It's a lot of calories as well, and a lot of chocolate. It's not really like healthy.
Brazil make themselves, or do they sometimes buy it?
I don't know. Everybody probably knows how to do it, but maybe when there's a big party and you need a lot of them, then they maybe buy it, because it's a lot of work to roll them. I never bought Brigadeiro, I always do it by myself. But you do have a lot of people that do all kind of party little, like everywhere in the world, I guess.
And do they serve it in like restaurants or like?
In the restaurants, not really.
No.
Sometimes you can go and buy, those places like an ice cream store where you also have pastry and stuff like that. So they would have probably.
Whenever my mom made brigadeiro, we would be like, especially this pistachio. Pistachio is only like special occasions. when we have a special dinner at home, she makes pistachio brigadeiro and we have to go somewhere, then we are like, Mom, leave some for us later. Or when she makes like normal. We try to make, but Mom's is always best, brigadeiro.
You see?
Always.
It's the same recipe. I have no idea.
But it's always the best one. We try to make it, but when my mom makes it, we're all like, Mom is making brigadeiro, Mom is making brigadeiro, brigadeiro. And it's a good reminder of home. It's a good reminder of where we come from, right, Mama? I have a lot of stuff to remind us of Brazil. So brigadeiro is a good way of reminding us of that.
Is it popular all around Brazil, or is there like some areas where it's more popular than others?
Things everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yes. It's actually very interesting because the food in Brazil can vary very much from one state to another. There's a lot of differences, a lot. But some stuff is all over, and this is one. If you go to a birthday party, almost everywhere, you
The
can
entire table, like the entire table is like a huge table. From here to the trash can, right there, just a bunch of little tiny balls of brigadeiro, 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 with multiple types of brigadeiro, usually chocolate with a lot of colorful stuff on it, or chocolate kind of stuff on them. It's just the entire table and then just the cake in the middle. And the birthdays are very like saturated in the north of Brazil.
Did you get this recipe also from your family, or
No. This one, I'm trying to remember who gave it to me. A friend probably. I don't remember. Somebody. I was at somebody's house, and they did a lot of versions of the brigadeiro, different versions, and I specifically like this one because I love pistachio. So I asked for the recipe and she gave it to me. But it's very easy to find also on the internet.
And when did you start making this one?
Probably 2 years ago or 3 years ago. This one, for example, if I go for a dinner party with adults, I always bring this. Because it's a little treat. People can eat with the hands, it's very easy, like also with coffee after dessert, or it can be part of the dessert. Coconut is also very nice.
That's another one you make?
Yeah, sometimes I make that one as well, the coconut, and it stays white with no chocolate. It's very nice as well. You can put some cinnamon or cloves. Many dishes that run in my family, but are not typically Brazilian. Because my family actually came from Europe, from different places. So I have bolognese sauce that I learned with my grandmother. The girls love. They do lasagna. I do a lot of other stuff, or sort of a curry, or stroganoff with beef. There are many things that I do that it's really part of our family, but they're not typically Brazilian.
And do you particularly like the Brazilian food culture?
It depends. I really like the food from the north of Brazil, although I am from the south. I really like the Brazilians. A lot of fish, a lot of seafood, a little bit spicy. I do like that food specifically. In São Paulo, you have it's a state with immigrants. So every neighborhood you go, there's a different style of food. For example, you have 4 million Japanese in São Paulo, and then you have the best sushi ever, or you have I don't know how many million of Italians, and you have amazing pizza places or pasta places. So I do like the food, but it's not a typical Brazilian food, or it's more the mix of all this culture. Yeah, there is a typical Brazilian dish called feijoada, which is black beans cooked with all kinds of meat, from pork and rice, and there's a lot of stuff going around it. I like it a lot, but not every day because it's very, very heavy. I like this, yeah. I think the influence for this kind of dish comes from Africa. There were a lot of slaves that came to Brazil from Africa, and that was the typical dish they used to cook, black beans, and is incorporated in the Brazilian culture now. So I like that food very much, and I like obviously the meat. I'm not vegan or vegetarian. And I do like a good steak, so barbecue is a traditional dish in Brazil. I think it started in the south, I'm not sure, but I think. And I grew up eating barbecue at least once a week, so I love it. Even if my conscience now spoil us with this as well. And every birthday party I went as a kid, always we ate loads of brigadeiros. There's no such a thing as too many. No matter how many you do, sometimes I do in a huge quantity and I'm sure it's going to last, I don't know, in one day everything is gone. And we just take a spoon, like a big spoon, and then we just eat it like away. We go around the house eating with a spoon.
Without actually making the big
Yeah, because the
sheet, like,
bowls is too much work and the cups also, so we just eat it with the spoon out of the plate like this. And usually we take a long time, we just like, we do little licks to it. Like.
Oh. Thank you.
Brigadeiro.